Welcome to part two with JB Ball. Last week we got deep. This week we get wow. This one's got jokes, unexpected turns, and that good chaotic energy that only happens when you're vibing with the right guests. Yeah, we'll just pick up. All right, so what keeps you passionate about comedy, especially when the industry or life throws curveball?
Yeah, I think at this point it's because I've done it long enough to it just very much is who I
Okay.
am. And so it's kind of unavoidable regardless. And so if I'm in a position to keep making money from it, I might as well do that because I've been doing comedy for 15 years and it makes no sense to go apply for some other job now. I'm
Right.
15 years out of the workforce. Like what job am I
Right.
gonna get? You
Yeah.
know? It's not even that I'm like it has nothing to do with intelligence. It's that like my resume is gonna go, okay, this is weird. It seems like you've been all over the country for 15 years. Are you on the run? So
That's funny.
I do think I just identify with
Yeah.
it. And I will say if you were a
Mm.
psychologist and you were asking why do I do comedy, I know the answer. At least I believe I know the
Oh, what's
answer,
the
right?
answer?
And it's because I love being told that I'm right. That's it. At its core value. Like for better or for worse, no ego in this. I do think that's the
Okay.
thing that keeps me so addicted to it because anytime you laugh, that's a confirmation that I'm right. And it's the easiest way to find out that I'm right. I'll just go on stage and I'll tell the jokes. I'll be like, God damn, I'm good. Like, it just really is. That really is it. But it's how you apply that either justifies it as like a healthy thing or a sick thing, right? I try to be right about things that are morally good so that no one's really hurt by me being right. It's a good thing I was right. Trust me, you're gonna want me to be right. Like that's kind of the position I will try to put people in relative to it. But I think that's what keeps me here.
That's so cool.
That and a longing to not have to sell sneakers. So I go like, it's this job, or I got to go all the way back down to, I mean, it's a long way down if I walk away from this career.
Exactly. I think
You
you're
know?
good sticking out where you are right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there ever a moment that you thought about quitting? And if
Oh yeah, all the time.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we're all human. Because the reality is, I don't care who you're thinking about in the
Hmm.
industry, right? In relation to
Yeah.
comedy, everybody wants something slightly different than what they have. For everything Chappelle has, I guarantee you, there's something else Chappelle wants that he's like, but I don't have that.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
Bill Burr, same thing. Louis C.K. the same thing. Like, just name your comic. There's always something where it's like, but it's not that. Like, so now I'm dealing with
Yeah.
this, so it's not what people think.
Mhm.
So you're just constantly. I think you just when you can offset it with enough money, it makes it easier to go. Well, obviously, I'm not going to
Mhm.
quit, right? But you will have your moments where you go like, but if I quit, I would never have to deal with this, that, or the third again.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like I still have to deal with wildly racist people. No matter how many people are on board with what I'm saying, there are still some who are like infinitely racist and an absolute like just problem to deal with after the show, right? And again, I'll welcome it from the standpoint of I'm itching for a fist fight, but outside of that impulse, I'd prefer to just be talking to happy
Yeah.
people after the show.
Yeah.
Which is, to be clear, 98% of the crowd.
Okay.
Like, we are talking to happy people. It's like sales, the bad reviews will stick with you. No matter how many good reviews you get, the people who say something negative, you'd be like, well, what was up with that? You know?
So tell me
So
about
it's,
one of those incidents, like one of those racist incidents.
yeah. Yeah, when I was in Tampa, I did a show there, and this makes it stranger because it was back home. And this is like since I have been in LA. So I was looking forward to being back in Tampa. I remember I did a show, show went great. This guy comes up to me. He's the first person in the merch line after the show. And this white dude, he's got like a cataracts. He looks kind of crazy. Like he doesn't look like a stable dude, but I ain't trying to judge, but that's the vibe I'm
Yeah,
getting.
yeah.
And he told me, slavery wasn't real, right? And I go, in fact, it was. There's tons of proof, my guy. And he goes, well, that's not what I mean. But that black people weren't the only ones who were slaves. And I went, yeah, no, that is factually true. Black people are not the only people who were
Uh-huh.
slaves. There was a big bias in those numbers as to how many were and weren't. But sure, you are
Right.
right. And then he goes, well, you know what? Maybe if you were caught and forced to be a slave, you just don't deserve our empathy. That's a real quote a person said to me after a whole show of me going like, let's be together, be together, be together, like that kind of shit, right? And like you've seen my comedy, like my
Yeah.
shit is still like very
Yes.
edgy, but it's just coming from a place of like, hey, but you could tell like I'm on your
Yeah.
side, right? Like we're coming
Yeah.
from a good place. I'm just down to fuck around. And so, of all people to say that to, in my mind, I'm the last person to say that
Yes.
to, right? Because I'm the one going like, "Hey, man, I can see everybody's perspective. We're all like, we're just trying to figure this shit out." For
I get
you to go like, "Hey, man, nah, dog, all that shit that's y'all's backstory, none of it, none of it." And even if some of it, I'm just telling you no. Like, all right, dude. So in my head, I'm going like, am I gonna punch an old white man or am I just gonna like let it go? And I'm letting it go. But the reality is, he still hangs in my head and I move on, but I don't
Oh
forget him.
yeah.
And I wish I'd forget him,
Yeah. So if you saw him
you know?
again, you would
So
definitely
that's,
remember him. Like if you saw him.
listen, if I didn't care about this career, that man's not around anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I got a family.
Right,
So you know what I
exactly.
mean? Like I gotta do the greater thing.
Wow, that is yeah, that's
Yeah. There's always different kinds of that. I was in Alabama. I got called the N word 7 times at a show that I got a standing ovation at. I just want to make that very clear. You want a polarized crowd? That's a polarized crowd.
what.
That's real. Yeah. Made so much money in merchandise sales after the show and still was called the N word 7 times. All of that in one show.
Yeah,
Those are the kind of people that are out there. But again, they're not the majority.
yeah.
They just hang with
Oh,
you. You know what I mean? Most people, awesome. Most people actually cool.
that's sad. It's very unfortunate that those people are amongst us. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm strong enough to take it. That's the way I look at it. I go like, yeah, you're not gonna throw me off, dog. I just think you're
Yeah,
ridiculous.
absolutely, 100%. Brush it right on off because they're people's ignorance. You can't let it again steal your joy, right? So.
Totally, totally. I think one of the biggest things you learn when you start traveling around the country, especially as a performer, is just how dumb the average person is. And this isn't an attack on anybody specifically. This is more an acknowledgement of whatever you think the country is, I assure you, it's way less than that. And when you see it firsthand, a lot of what you've seen in the media and a lot of what you see through entertainment really starts to make sense. It really starts to make sense why something is done this way and not this way. The average person is not as smart as you would like to believe.
Yeah.
In fact, the average person is infinitely dumber than you would like to entertain. And that's the reality. So if I'm talking about something, here's my point. I don't even consider myself an intelligent comedian. I'm intelligent relative to your options. That's what I am.
Okay.
Same for attractiveness. I don't consider myself an attractive person, but within comedy, I am attractive relative to your options. You see what I'm saying? You put me next to a
Okay.
model, you'll start noticing a lot of flaws that you're not seeing. You put me next to another comic, you'd be like, it's a good looking dude. It's a good looking dude. Like, so I am not delusional in that way. I was an ugly duckling. That's how I identify. I got my attractiveness late in life, like a Kardashian. You know what I mean? It wasn't in the beginning. It's just later on, like, oh, well, look at this now. So yeah,
Okay. Well, if you say so, JB. And so.
I'm keeping it real, man. I'm keeping it. Listen, I've gone out for auditions, and when you got to sit next to the other dudes that they can see in this role, and it's just like sexy pool guy, whatever, right? And you're looking at him, and you're looking at yourself, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing here, man. This dude, this is crazy what I'm looking at right. This guy, y'all offered me this role. There's no way I'm getting this. You better put me as computer nerd number 3 or something. Give me a shot at this. I'll throw some glasses on, but I'm not. Jesus Christ, look at
Oh
this
my
guy.
God. Is that why the lady the other day?
I'm in auditions with dudes. You can see their abs through their shirt, and I'm like, all right, come on, dude. Like, you should at least have to take the shirt
Right.
off.
Exactly.
This is crazy.
Please. But is that why the lady the other day told you have dead eyes? Is that what you're.
I don't know what that was about. That was crazy. That was crazy. I was literally sitting in the waiting room at a podiatrist, and this old woman tells me that I have
So
dead eyes.
sweet.
And in my head, I just wanted to be like, it's because I'm looking at you, baby. It's just because I'm looking at you and your old ass. I can't believe she said
That
that. And I don't know what her intention was or what she was
is,
trying
yeah,
to get
I'm
out of
like,
it. But I
who
just had
said
to,
that?
I remember I just looked at the lady next to me and I was like, that was crazy.
That's
She's like, I don't know what the
wild.
fuck that
Totally
was.
wild. Totally wild.
And then I got my ankle looked at.
And went on
So
with your
yeah,
day. I love it. I love it.
yeah, yeah. So weird.
So, what does picking passion look like in your everyday life?
Picking
Yeah, like
passion?
choosing yeah, picking your passion. What does that look like to you in your everyday life? Choosing the path that you're on, like, or finding your
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I would just, for lack of a better word, I guess I would just summarize that in what are you doing that's bringing out the truest you, right? for better or for worse. But all I mean is like, are you doing something that helps you feel like you're expressing like who you are deep down at your core, not who you are societally, right? Like, but who you are just like, okay. So like as an example, for me, I'm 38, my body's beat up. I got two bad knees, I got a bad ankle, I got a bad shoulder, I got a bad elbow, but I'll still play basketball because I grew up playing basketball and I just get a joy out of the catharsis of playing basketball because you know what it is if you're playing with people of a certain level, it is a game that you cannot control individually as much as they would like to try to put it out there that you can, you really can't. So basketball is this puzzle that you have to solve on the fly, and the puzzle is constantly changing. So every possession, every step you're taking is a variable that is helping you solve or fail at the puzzle. And even though physically I struggle to keep up with that relative to like when I was younger, mentally I still love the sensation of trying to figure out that puzzle because it's different every single game. There are no puzzles that are the same. It's always different. So you get addicted to seeing if you can get another one and another one and another one and another one, right? And that joy that I get out of that is what keeps pulling me back into the thing that is literally physically harming my body, right? So that's kind of how I interpret picking passion is what is the thing that helps stir up the most you part of you.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like at my core, I love appreciating a puzzle. And it's not all puzzles, but specific types of puzzles, I will get a rush out of that. Whether it's playing basketball or having a threesome. They're all puzzles and they're a lot of fun. That's how I would word that. Don't make that face. Don't make that. That's the face of judgment of a threesome. You haven't done it. And if you haven't done it, don't judge it.
No judgment, but it's not my thing.
Teach their own. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm saying when I had my first threesome, the thing I couldn't get over was the idea of how fun of a puzzle it was. And it's not something I knew to think about going into it. It's just as you're in it and you're trying to be good at it, you realize how much you have to try to account for. And then you get a sense of if you're doing well or not. And if you're doing well, there is like an endorphin release of like, you're fucking doing it, dude. You're doing good. Good job, man. Keep that up. Like you want to keep pleasuring, right? Unless, I mean, listen, unless you're the kind of lover that doesn't care about the person you're with, and then maybe that's on you, all right? But I was trying to make sure people left happy, you know? And I was so there is an aspect to that where it's not possessive. It's about like trying to solve this puzzle. You're in a puzzle right now, and you're in a puzzle with two other brains. And those brains are also trying to solve the puzzle. And you're trying to communicate, but you might be communicating non-verbally. So now you're trying to interpret this and that. There's something to it. There's something to the puzzle of it. And to each their own. But I'm just saying that was a thing I learned about myself.
Interesting. That's that conceptualizing part about you that I think that you like to like. It's like an experiment. You know, like
Yeah.
this is not for me. I've never desired to have a threesome.
No, I
I'm
get it.
always like, I mean, you know,
I'm not telling you to do it.
stingy. First
I'm
of all,
not
I'm
telling you to do
stingy
it.
and I don't like to share.
Mhm.
That's for one.
Okay. Yeah.
And
You sound like a great teammate.
I
You
can't.
sound like every bad basketball player I ever played with. Listen, I'm stingy and I don't
I
like to share. Well, this is a team sport, my guy. So I don't know what to tell you.
Let's just chalk it up to that. I don't like to share.
I get it.
But
get
I
that.
mean, you know, so I'm just curious. I have to ask. So how many threesomes?
Wait, were you an only child?
No.
Okay. All right. I was curious. I was about to like come up with a theory there. I was like, well, maybe she never learned the sensation of
No,
sharing.
but share.
So
that's
she never
a different kind
understood.
of share.
I'm totally joking. Yeah, of course. It's
Totally
so different. It's so different. Yeah.
So how many threesomes have you had? I'm just curious.
I'm not telling.
Okay.
It's multiple.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just, well, the point is, I'm not trying to come off a certain way. I'm a good guy, but I'm also down to have a good experience.
There's nothing wrong with
So
There's
that's all I'm
nothing
saying.
wrong with that.
Well, you know what it is? Is one time I saw T-Pain on Late Night, and he was telling a story about how his wife is down to have threesomes with him, and he thought that the crowd was going to be super on his side, like, oh, okay, that's interesting, and they turned on him immediately. And I just realized, I guess the world isn't as open to a conversation about threesomes as I would have thought. So now I am trying to be aware of like, you know what? I don't know that anyone listening is gonna take this the right way. So let me know.
It doesn't need it, but it's okay. It's okay because it's not for everybody, right? But at least,
of course, and I'm not suggesting that it is.
Yeah, but at least they can be open to it. But
I will also make the case. Yes, I will make the case that there is a variation of it that is, if you were willing to find it. I'm not saying you need to be willing to find it. But I'm saying when you have an experience with something new, you may learn something about it that you like that you wouldn't have known that you liked, is what I'm saying. Right? That's with anything, is what I'm suggesting there. Right? And so what I'm saying is I had a threesome with the intention of enjoying a threesome. Right? And then what I learned about it was the puzzle aspect of it, the mental aspect of it was something I didn't know how to anticipate. And I go like, is that really what I liked so much about that? And if I'm being honest with myself, yeah, that is. Now there's a level of connecting and execution and all that stuff, right? Like all the experience is great, but the thing that gives you the rush for me was the puzzle of it. And that's a thing that you can't do with a single other person because it's not the same puzzle. You see what I'm saying? Like it's the adding the third person that makes the puzzle like, oh, now you've got to do it. Like, how do you, wow, got to figure that out. It's about being in tune with each other. It's not about exploiting another person. At least if, in my opinion, if you're doing it correctly.
It could be a
Like if
puzzle.
you're
I
doing
think it
it
could be a puzzle with a
responsibly.
single person. I think it could still be a puzzle.
Well, yeah, if you're a walking conundrum, but who wants to be that difficult? I want to be with a partner who knows how to have a good time. No, I'm messing with you. I always think it's funny when you meet that woman who goes like, I've never come in my life. And it's almost said as like a badge of honor. And I go like, well, I feel bad that you haven't figured your body out yet. I'm not judging, but I don't know how to help you.
It is sad. It is sad. But that's a majority.
I like it when you meet a woman and she's like, I come too much. It's a problem. And I go like, great, let's play ball.
But it's so sad. But that's a majority of women like that have never, don't even know what it feels like, has never experienced it. And it's kind of unfortunate, but
I try to throw them off. I say me too. You know what I mean? They go, I've never come. And I go, neither have I. They're like, are you a virgin? No, I'm not. I faked it every time. Every time. They're like, you've never done it. Like, no. At the end, I just make a noise and spit. That's what I do. That's what I
have
do.
Have you ever faked it for real?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, so men really do that. That's the thing.
I mean, I'm not around when other men are doing what they're doing. I'm not gonna speak for them, but I faked it. Yeah. I'll just keep it real. Yeah. Listen, not every man is good at sex. Not every woman's good at sex either. And I don't believe women should get to walk around with this premonition that sex with them is always good. It's not. It's not. There are some cases where you're like, hey man, I don't know if you know who you're competing with, but this is not up to par. What you're putting down. That's what you know what I mean? I have female friends and I like talking about that with them because what they have realized, and I'm just talking about my friends because I don't know every woman, right? But what they will realize is how much they don't know about what other women's sexual experiences are. There is what you will tell each other, and then there's the truth. That's the way I look at it, right? And I go, almost every woman's been told she gives the best head ever by somebody, and she doesn't, and she's not even in the running, and that's okay. But if you are living with the belief that you do it better than whoever, however many people, that's a pretty big claim, man. You should probably live up to that if you're going to claim that. I'm not out here going, I'm the best at anything. That's not what I'm doing. That's crazy. Set expectation. What I will say is,
never say you're the best.
I have never been told I'm a bad time. That's what I say. I have never been told I was a bad time. I will never be like, I'm a good time. That's crazy.
You've never been told
I don't know what a good time is for you.
You've never been told you're a bad time, but you never say you're a good time.
Okay. Correct. You set expectation, man. You always want to overachieve, over deliver. Okay. Set an expectation that you know you can meet, and if you can over deliver on that, better. You set an expectation you can't meet, and now you might have outperformed yourself, but it's still disappointing because you didn't live up to like whatever. Like, I got that TSA joke of like, I went through the TSA and I always get flagged in the TSA in my crotch. And then they tell me that's because if you have a big dick, the machine will flag you and then you got to get searched, right? But at the end of the joke, I like making a point to go like, listen, I want to make this very clear. I am not saying I have a big dick. I'm saying I learned that science says I have a big dick. This is still not me saying I have a big. If you see it and you're like, you know what? I don't think that's big. I go like, I agree with you. It's just that science says it is. That's what I'm saying. But it's about setting expectation though. Like I'm not lying to you. I'm giving you what I really think and hoping I can outperform that.
Again, conceptualizing for you. That's what it all goes back down to that.
So fun. So fun.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So it sounds like what I need to do is have you come back on here and we just have like a conversation about like, I don't know, like a whole different off topic, like You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like a whole, because we sound like we can go down a whole rabbit hole about this whole.
I get you. I get you. I have a theory. This is my thing, though. I have a theory that people don't want to hear sex stories from a straight man. That's my theory. I don't think people actually want to hear them. That's been my experience. Yeah, I think people feel threatened by them because I think people will. I think some women will tap into their own
Mhm.
experiences and then they will liken something you say to something they've experienced that was negative, and then they will make you that thing. And that's not what you're communicating, and that's not your intent, but that
Wow.
is how it ends up coming across. Yeah. So I try not to kiss and tell in detail,
Right, right.
because I just listen, I was there. I know what the experience was, and I know I wasn't in the
Right.
wrong, but I don't have any control over you interpreting it
Oh
that way.
yeah.
So I'd rather not be misinterpreted. It's
I
that thing. That's
understand.
what I've learned over time,
Which is
where I just go like, it would be fun. It would be fun to talk
yeah.
about. I don't know that I trust your ears when I'm telling you these things.
Given extreme details. Like I'm not asking like kiss and tell, like,
Yeah,
you're sharing all the details and names and stuff like
sure, sure.
that. But I feel like to hear those
You know, yeah.
experiences, I think it's interesting. Why not?
I
We're
agree with
all
you. I think it's
yeah.
wildly interesting. I have this theory in comedy where they say when you're doing sex jokes, that's the lowest ring of comedy,
Mm.
right? That's the lowest bar. And like, if you can't be funny without talking about sex, are you funny? And I don't
I heard
agree
that
with that.
before.
I know what they're getting at. Like, I understand what they're trying to get at, right? But I would
Mm.
argue sex works partially because of its
Yeah.
relatability. That regardless of race or creed or color, like any of these separations or whatever, you're all attempting to have sex and you're all attempting to be vulnerable in
Yeah.
those ways. And that's why they can bring a crowd together, but also elevate a laugh.
Mm.
Sometimes I think the best way to get someone to understand
Mm.
something is to parallel it to sex because that's a universal.
Very true.
So it's not about being blue. Like it's not about trying to be dirty. It's about trying to get you to understand it in terms that you get.
Uh-huh.
And that's just more universal than some other
Sure.
things. So there's a part of me that goes like talking about sex doesn't make you a dirty
No.
comic. To me, that's not
Mm.
dirty. It's what point are you trying to make? I understand why you said it this way because more people in the room can
Right.
understand it, right? I can communicate something another way. I just can't guarantee as many people
Very
understand
true.
it. And even if they understand it, I can't guarantee that they'll find it as
Uh-huh.
funny. So if sex is the most universal, funniest
Uh-huh.
thing, it makes sense to go to it
Yeah.
more, right? Like you don't run it into the
Yeah.
ground, but the point is, well, if I'm doing a Venn diagram of what equals the loudest laugh, it seems like right in the middle of that Venn diagram is a sex
Yeah.
analogy. Kind of makes sense to go there
Yeah.
then, as opposed to let me make this joke a little unfunnier just to say I didn't use sex.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's actually not as logical as I think they want
I
it to
agree.
be. And it's not that I don't appreciate what they're trying to
Yeah.
say, but I also go, I've kind of never been mad I heard a sex
Yeah.
joke.
No.
It just didn't bother me. Like I
No.
just go, all right, if that's how you want to communicate it, I'm listening.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like you tell me your thought, man. I'm listening.
Exactly.
So yeah, I just there's something about that I just it doesn't sit
Yeah,
right with
no,
me.
I totally agree with that. And I was just thinking about what you were saying, and I'm like, like I think even as a woman, right? A lot of people find like, oh, is it taboo that a woman even talks about sex? Like my icebreaker, one of the questions was like the categories, one of them was sex, and I
Sure.
don't find as a woman that it should be
Mhm.
taboo to have
No, no, no.
conversations or it can be a fun topic. It's a fun conversation. It's universal. Again, we all
Yep.
understand and know it if you're of an age. I don't feel like it's
Yep.
something that we should shy away from because it's supposed to
I
be,
agree.
because
I
it's
agree.
supposed to be like, oh, is it bad because you're a woman and you shouldn't be like, what? Wait a minute.
No, it's bad because they're prude,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I would also argue as a
Hmm.
man, I would like to hear more women openly talk about sex so that it feels less uncomfortable if I want to,
Correct.
right? So there's this give and take to that. Now, let's be clear, there are going to be people on both sides who abuse
Hmm.
it and sort of ruin
Uh-huh.
it. And that's more, I think, like what we're concerned about
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
ultimately. But I like an existence where anyone can kind of just say like what they are feeling, and then we go from there.
Absolutely.
And so it's one of those things. If you want to talk about sex, then talk about sex. I'm not going to be weirded out, but I just can't speak for the next person.
Absolutely.
And that's the part where like comedy comes into like playing the averages, right? And you're going, well, I'm in a room and I'm trying to get the majority of these people on my side,
Exactly.
right? And so if saying this kind of thing really turns the majority of the room against me as opposed to on my side, then is it worth it?
Absolutely.
Maybe sometimes it is circumstantially, but is it worth it? Is the debate, right? And I think women have to deal with that all the time of like, I would like to talk about these kind of things, but I don't want to be perceived as blah, blah, blah,
Exactly.
because I'm not blah, 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 you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't mean that I'm blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah because I'm talking about blah 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 because I understand or know or I'm human. I'm
yeah.
human. Like what you and I'm
And,
36. I'll be
and here's the
37
other
years
thing
old
is
this
like,
year. Okay, and like
yeah, facts. I hear you. Yeah, that's a real thing.
yeah,
So I think like, all right, if you want to go back to like say the Me Too movement, I think one of the best things that came out of that was that we were starting to hear women's
yeah,
stories. And as a man, I was realizing how many things I hadn't thought of like that. Excuse me, like that. So there are circumstances that women described being in where they felt pressured or they were thinking this, but they had to do this, that it never occurred to me to think through that circumstance that
yeah.
way. And so I found that to be very valuable to hear that so I could go like, all right, for future reference, if I see that
Mhm.
circumstance or I find myself in that circumstance, be aware of this other way of processing this.
Mm,
So there's a value to women being able
absolutely.
to talk
Yeah,
about these things openly because how else am I going to learn how you
yeah,
think or how you feel about whatever things if you're not even allowed to talk about
exactly.
it? Then I'm only going off of my own assumptions, you know? And that's one of those things where I go, okay, so then who are we even mad at? To me, that's a systemic problem.
Absolutely.
That's not you mad at men and that's not me mad at women. That's me mad socially that you're in a position that you can communicate this thing that can ultimately affect the perception of me and my
Absolutely.
actions.
100% agree.
So yeah, to that point, it's just I just wish you could just talk about what you wanted to talk about, which you can.
We should be able
You
to.
just need more people to be like, yeah, we're
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
So
again, that
yeah,
goes
yeah.
back
You got
to
a safe
who's
space, you
for
know?
me or who's for you will be for you, and who's not. Just it
Yeah,
won't, and that's okay. All right.
totally.
So, what is something that you do every day to find or keep your joy? What's something that you do? I know you work out. I know you like that's something that seemed to be
Uh,
something you.
yeah, yeah. Working out's
Yeah.
good because like you want to feel in tune with your
Yeah.
body. I think there's something to that,
Mhm.
and I want to feel like I'm making a conscious effort to not die
Yeah.
sooner. So like that's good. I go like, look at me pushing for life, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
And what is something I do? I guess music. So I just think there's a catharsis to singing. Like I'm not a good singer, but I feel the need to sing. You know what I mean? So like I'll just turn the music up louder than I am. That way I don't got to hear me. I just want to feel like I'm doing it. You know? I'll throw on some Lucky Day and I'll be singing my ass off. It probably sounds awful, but my earphones are in. I don't know. I feel bad for the places I walk by in my earphones. I go like, I don't know what version of the song they heard, but I'm killing this in
You are
my head, dude. I know
killing it.
that.
I love that. I
Oh
love
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But yeah,
There's
music
nothing
is
wrong with that.
that's the universal, man. That's
Yeah.
the universal. Like I do like I don't think the commercial's good, but the idea is, so I accept
Mm,
it. But there's this new commercial with Pedro
mhm,
Pascal, who is the actor from The Last of Us and Gladiator
mhm.
2 and Narcos and a number of things. I think he was in one of the Star Wars. Is it Rogue One? I don't know. He's in one of them. I think he's in The Mandalorian. I think he plays Boba Fett. Point is, very popular actor, and now he's the face of this new Apple iPod commercial,
Uh-huh.
whatever. And the whole thing is him walking down the street and he's got his iPod in, and the whole world is turning these vibrant colors, and then pedestrians are turning into backup dancers, and it's just all this like he's just so into his music that the world around him is like
Mm,
becoming manipulated and in sync with how he's feeling. And I
okay.
identify with that idea of like you could be so into a song that you're like, I just feel like all of this is a part of it. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I
I'm
I
with that.
do
I'm
like
with that.
that. Like I do a thing when I take a trip, I pick a new
Mhm.
album and I only listen to that album for that trip.
Mm,
And what that does is it causes me to associate positive memories with those songs.
mm.
So anytime I'm hearing those songs, I'm reliving those positive memories of that trip,
Yeah.
right? And it's like this little psychological thing. It's almost like you're self-creating music videos,
Mhm.
right? And so like where we used to have a music video and we could go like, I like this song because I like the video so much and I picture the video when I hear it.
Yeah.
Now it's you just have an experience in place of that
I
video.
love that.
And yeah, it's really like opened my eyes to a lot of different music where I'm like, typically I wouldn't have been into this, but under this circumstance, this was a
It's
great
fitting.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great thing to pair with this action I just did. And so yeah, it just kind of helps you accept
I
more.
love
And
that.
so yeah, music is probably necessary every day. You got to sing along with
I love
something.
I'm not gonna ask you to sing right now. I'm not gonna ask you to play no music.
Oh, I'm not going to do it. Don't worry. There's no
That's
way.
hilarious.
I'm one of those people, and I'll sit down and I'll study the lyrics too. Like I'll be like, there's a song, and I'm like, I gotta figure out because I'm not gonna keep humming this. I need to know what to
Yeah.
say. You know,
Absolutely. I do that all the
Lucky
time.
Day's got a song right now called Mary, and the hook of the song is just him listing off women's names, but it has to be in this certain order in order to hit the rhyme
Okay.
scheme. And I got so tired of like humming it that I just stopped and I studied like all of the women's names in a row
Dedication.
so I could
The
say them.
dedication.
But it is super fulfilling when you get it right though, and you go like, man, this song's the shit. Hell yeah, this song
I
is
love
great.
it. I love it. Okay. All right. So, is there a joke or a bit that you love that didn't land like you thought it was going to?
I mean, I've been doing comedy for 15 years, so there's plenty of stuff that hasn't landed that I was like, I feel like I was onto something, but I just didn't figure out how to communicate
Okay.
it. But I don't know that I have something that comes to mind because you write a lot of jokes, man, and you just forget ones. I have people come up to me who are reciting jokes from 10 years ago that I didn't even know I told. And they're like, that was my favorite joke I ever heard. And I'm like, I said that? Okay. All right,
Awesome.
cool. Like, I have a very flimsy memory when it comes to jokes. As a point, like this is a real thing, and I don't know a lot of other comics who struggle with this. When I did my first special, I never did any of that material again. To the point where I can't recite that material. Like I could, if you asked me to tell one of those jokes, I couldn't do it, and that was 2 years ago. I told those jokes for years. I cannot tell you those jokes right. I don't remember them. I flush it. I move on. And even for like my latest special, it came out 3 weeks ago at this point. I probably at this point can't tell you 80% of that special. Not correctly. I could go like, it was something like this. I remember I was talking about this. Like, I don't remember. Like, it's not because I've moved on.
I love that.
So I just flush it. Yeah, yeah. So it's hard for me to remember certain bits for that question. I just go like, I flushed it, man. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and like listen to recordings and be like, oh, I did say that. Yeah, okay.
So if you weren't doing comedy, what do you think that you'd be doing if you weren't doing comedy?
Well, I played basketball in college and I could have gone overseas to play. So had I not known I was going to do comedy, I probably would have rode that out and seen where that would have led to. So maybe there's far off world where I made it to the NBA through some like weird road there, or maybe not. But I figure I would have pursued basketball. I would have gotten homesick being in Europe, and I probably would have retired early because I would have just hated Europe. And then I would have come home. That is a good question because like everything I did in college was sort of to set up my comedy career. So it's not like there would have been something to fall back on. It was all leading towards doing like I knew I
There
was
was no
going to do
plan
it.
B. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess be the president. I don't know. I don't have a better answer. I feel like I couldn't do worse.
But
What's going on
you
right
could be
now?
the president because you might even have a zombie.
No,
You might have
no,
a zombie
no.
cure.
Yeah, no, they're not gonna. I'll tell you right now, they're not gonna let me be president because I'm too much on this kumbaya shit. They don't want that. They'll get me off real quick. I'm gonna come up there like, what if we work together? And they're gonna be like, get this motherfucker out of here, dude. This is not the
That's so
business.
funny.
There's no way I'd get up
That's
that
so
high.
funny. I love it. So I just
They'd be like, hey, but what if you secretly did this bad thing? And I'd be like, well, I'm not gonna do that. So and they'd be like, yeah, we can't work with this guy. He's too morally strong. He's not gonna do
I
it.
love it. So I just have a couple more questions. What's your favorite part of the comedy scene right now? Like, has anything that gives you hope or has you excited?
Nope, nothing. Not a goddamn thing. This is how I honestly feel. I've got a bunch of friends who are comics, and I know a bunch of comics that aren't my friends. Right? And I'm fine with all of that. There's no bitterness involved in that. But what I mean is, I find it to be such a mentally sick space that I don't necessarily enjoy all of my time there.
Okay.
I don't necessarily look forward to going to a showcase style show, right? So like that would be a show where there's a bunch of comics on the lineup and maybe we're all doing 10, 15 minutes and we're sharing. I don't want to be around that many comics because I feel like I'm around a lot of sick people, So we're not a bunch of normal people talking normal stuff. We're a couple normal people in a room with a number of sick people that I don't particularly want to be around. So I always say it like this. I think when someone dreamed of being a comedian, they didn't dream of being friends with all the comedians. That wasn't part of the dream. It's cool to have friends in comedy, and you should. But I don't think there's anything that dictates you gotta be friends with everybody and you gotta know everybody. At a certain point, it's networking and you're using each other, and that feels gross. So I don't like to do it. I just got like if I know you, I'm happy to see you and I'm down like let's chop it up, right? But if I don't know you, that's fine. I'm probably not going to seek you out, because I'm here to kind of just work on the stuff I want to work on and move on. My live shows, like my touring shows, that's where I'm working with friends. And that is more of the camaraderie of comedy and we're like-minded enough as people that we're having a good time and we can play off of each other and that's different. That's a safe space grounded in friendship. And I guess like so if there was an answer like that's the part of comedy I look forward to. The touring dates
Yeah.
are fun.
Yeah.
The dates at home are work.
Yeah.
They just feel differently. And again, I'm probably in the minority of this, and I'm not trying to say this as if I think I'm better than
Mm.
anybody. To somebody else, I'm sure I seem sick, right? I'm just kind of
Yeah.
acknowledging I don't like the fakeness. Like, I don't like the fake camaraderie when I know secretly you're competitive, right? And I'm not really here to be competitive. I'm here to just do what I find
Yeah.
interesting.
I
And
love
wherever that
that.
falls is where it
Yeah.
falls. So it's kind of one of these things where I'm like, you just got an energy that I don't fuck with. Like, that's just all it is. Like, I'm not even telling you to change. I'm just like, I just don't think we align, dude. I just want to be over here, do my own
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm not in your way. You go do your thing, man. If you want to feel like that's your
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's this weird thing in comedy where like I do like befriending people, but I don't really like going out of my way to
I'm
do it.
not mad at that because I don't deal with I don't
Yeah.
dig the fakeness either. That's one thing Erica don't do is the
It's
fakeness and
yeah,
all of
sure.
that. So I get it. I get
No, for sure.
it.
Yeah. I mean, to each their own too, because there are people who like they thrive in that, and I go like, that's for
That's
you, and I'm happy you got your
for
thing.
you.
I am not in your
No.
way, and I am not calling you a
Yeah.
bad person. I'm going, I am not
No,
that
no,
thing, so I don't love
no.
it
I
here.
love that. I love it. All right. So what do you want your comedy to leave people with? What's the feeling or the message that you want to leave?
I just want people to leave feeling smarter, feeling
Mm.
empowered, and just going like, God damn, that was
Yeah.
creative. Like all I ever want is for if I was on a showcase show and you don't know the lineup, you just know you're gonna see a bunch of
Mhm,
comics that
mhm.
night. If you hear that JB Ball is here, I just want you to go, oh shit, okay, whatever that is, that's gonna
Yeah,
be good.
yeah.
I just want you to feel that
Yeah.
ahead of time. If I've reached that point, to me, that is a success that I am proud
That's
of,
so so.
right? I just want you to know that like when I get on stage, you're like that. Just I don't know what he's going to talk about. Just trust me. It's he's going to be good.
It's gonna be
He's
good.
going to be
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and that I like the idea of that
That's
feeling.
so amazing. Okay, so what do you have going on? I know you got the latest special. Where can the people find you?
Yeah.
All the things. Share it
Yeah,
all.
my new 1 hour special. This is my second
Mhm.
one. Came out on YouTube 3 weeks ago. It is called Jesus in the Crack House. If you haven't seen it, I promise that's not a blasphemous title. Like I'm not insulting anybody. There's a very specific reason for it being called Jesus in the Crack House. It's tied to a story, something that got said to me. It's
Yeah.
very funny. Everybody loves it. To the point where, like on tour, when I would tell people in advance the name of the special is going to be Jesus in the Crack House, they would literally stand up and cheer, and they'd be like, "Yes!" Like they were so excited because it makes total sense. So yeah, it's one of those things where you know what's odd about trying to promote a
Mhm.
special is I'm not an ego person in that I don't want to tell you how good it
Yeah.
is, even though I believe it is that
Mhm.
good. Because I don't like the idea of trying to sell
Yeah.
me. I would rather, if you want to check it out, go to the comment section, read what everybody else has to say. Everything they're saying is amazing.
Mhm.
Like, let the people who watched it speak for it. I believe in it. I'm very proud of it, but I also don't feel like being like, here's why you need to watch my spec. It's just, it feels dirty
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me. So listen to people who watched it who have nothing to do with it. People are very happy with what it is, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. It's really good. It is really good. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely go and support. And JB, that's all that I have for you. Thank
sick.
you so much.
Oh, this
This
is
was
great.
so
Thank you. I
good.
appreciate you. Yeah, this was fun. This was fun. Listen, we covered so much ground. People coming together. You hate threesomes. Like we
We
learned
love
so
it.
much. We have grown as people.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out his latest special if you haven't already. And if you laughed, hit me up and let me know your favorite part. You already know we pick passion around here, even when it's unhinged.